Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your first ever video lecture for Mrs. Koster's biology class. You'll be doing these throughout the semester and throughout the year if you have me next semester as well. And typically they're less than 15 minutes and you'll have some sort of notes organizer that I give you to fill in, but this time's just a little bit fun of getting to know me and getting to know the class, so you don't need to take notes while you're watching this one today. Okay, so like I said, this is Mrs. Koster's biology class. That is how you say my name. If you have me second, fourth, or fifth period, you have another teacher with us. His name is Mr. Spear. If you have me first period or seventh period, then you have me all to yourself. Okay, so I get to know you guys throughout the year, so I think it's only fair if you learn a little bit about me as well. So the next couple of slides are just a little bit about my history and my family. So just so you know, I did grow up here in the Marietta area. I attended Addison Elementary School. I went to J.J. Daniel Middle School, and then yes, I actually did go to Sprayberry High School. But I promise, I am a Trojan. I have converted. You'll see me at the football games all the time. I promise I won't be wearing my letter jacket or class ring from Sprayberry or anything like that. After I graduated from Sprayberry, I went to the University of Georgia, where I had some of the best times of my life, and I am a huge Dogs fan, especially during the football season. You'll hear me, cheering for them all the time. You'll probably even see me wearing my shirts every once in a while. But I'm warning you now, if the Dogs lose, if you say something about them losing, your grade just might happen to mysteriously drop, 40 or 50 points. So fair warning. And then after I graduated from Georgia, I actually taught at Simpson Middle School for a couple of years. And then I left Simpson to go back to school, where I got my master's degree at Kennesaw State University. I went to school full-time. And then that's how I ended up at Lassiter. After I graduated, Dr. Ritchie hired me here at Lassiter. So I've been here. This is my fourth year here at Lassiter. So I can't tell you about me without telling you about my family. They are the most important people to me. Okay, so I got married back in 2007, so I've been married for almost 7 years now. Mr. Koster is a captain in the U.S. Army. He works full-time for the Georgia National Guard. This picture is him when he was deployed in 2009, 2010 to Afghanistan. He jumps out of those helicopters and he jumps out of airplanes, so you'll probably hear me talking about that all the time. He works at Dobbins Air Force Base. And then in 2012, we had a son named Ethan. So he's now 2 years old, just turned 2 years old, and he is really crazy, and you'll hear stories about him all the time too, I'm sure. And then last part of our family is our dog. This is Crosby, our miniature schnauzer. He's almost 9. Okay, and if you have a class with Mr. Spear, you'll get to know him a little bit better throughout the year, but just a quick background, he's been married for 32 years, and Mrs. Spear actually teaches math at Walton. He has 2 children. His daughter is also a math teacher, so a big teacher family. He has 3 grandchildren, which you'll hear him talk about all the time, and he has an adorable pit bull dog named Sammy. And just a little bit of history on Mr. Spear. He was a funeral director for 15 years. For a few years, he was a chaplain in the Tennessee prison system. He, like me, also taught at Simpson Middle School. He taught there for 6 years, and then came to Lassiter and has taught here for the past 9 years. He used to coach the 9th grade girls basketball team, but now he is the assistant gymnastics coach here at Lassiter. Okay, so that's enough about Mr. Spear and myself. If you ever have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm sure we'll be willing to answer them. So now moving on to just a quick review of the syllabus, highlights of the syllabus, so we don't have to waste time in class doing this. So for the fall semester, here are our units and what percentages each is worth. Now you'll notice that our grading isn't like how you're probably being graded in other classes. Other classes have the traditional, tests are worth this percent, homework is worth this percent. We don't really do that. We use what's called standards-based grading. So if we don't spend a lot of time on a unit, then that unit's not going to be worth very much. If we spend a lot of time on a unit, that unit is going to be worth a lot more. So you can see, just here's an outline of the fall semester, which units are worth the most points, or most percentage points. So like our first little unit here, we just spend a few days on it, so it's only worth 5%. Now, obviously, that test is going to have an impact on your grade, but not quite the impact like the test in the cell structures and cell processes unit will have, or the test in the genetics unit. So that's just something to keep in mind as we go throughout the semester. If there's ever a test that you just get lazy about and don't want to put in the work, don't let it be one of these huge units that has a really large impact on your grade. So what is a unit? What does a unit consist of? Typically, a unit consists of these items here. A unit packet, which I'll talk more about on the next slide, various labs and hands-on activities, and depending on the unit, some of them have 2 labs, some of them have 4 or 5 labs, or hands-on activities, and those are going to be worth between 20 and 50 points. Now, every unit has projects. Most of the time a unit has minor projects, but every couple of units we have a major project, which is worth the same as a unit test. And then every unit has a quiz or a couple quizzes worth 50 points, and a unit test that's worth 100 to 200 points. Every test in my biology class has both multiple choice and free response questions, so just something to keep in mind. Okay, so a unit packet. Every unit you will turn in a packet on the test day. It is due on that day. It is not accepted late, so you've got to be sure to be responsible and keep up with this work. Now, depending on the size of the unit, a packet might have between 5 and 10 items. And those things are going to be things like your notes organizers that you take while you're watching the video lecture, or maybe while you're reading the textbook. That's kind of rare, but sometimes. There are graphic organizers, practice work, web quest, online activities, the small hands-on activities that we do in class, any manipulatives, that kind of thing. And then, of course, when we review for the test, that will go in your packet as well. So you are responsible for keeping up with all of these items, so make sure you come up with a good organization system for you, even if that is just one of those pronged folders, whatever works for you. Okay, it is the policy of the entire on-level biology team. There are 4 teachers teaching it, and we all have this policy that we do not accept late work. Ever. We do not accept late work. So this is high school, you're moving into more advanced classes. Hopefully we're getting you ready for college. So this is a policy that we have adopted. Whatever a due date is, that is what it's going to be, and you will not be allowed to turn it in late. So whatever you have at the time that something is due, you make sure you get that turned in. So how do you know what the due date is for something? Well, I work very hard to make sure that it is very clear in class. I'll say it a million times. It will be on the daily agenda. If I give you a sheet, it will be written on the sheet. But if you still aren't sure, like you didn't hear it in class or you didn't see it on the agenda, go to the blog. It will always be there. And then please make sure you sign up for the text message reminders. If you haven't done that, pause this video right now and do it now. You're going to text this number, 657-208-9068, and then the body of your text message, all you're going to write is at Mrs. Cost. Don't write at Mrs. Coster, because apparently that's a 2nd grade teacher, just at Mrs. Cost. Sign up for that. Have your parents sign up for that, just in case something happens and you don't have your phone, or let's say you get grounded and your phone gets taken away. You want to make sure that somebody is getting those text message reminders. So pause now, grab your phone, tell your parents, do all this right now while you're thinking about it. Okay, what if you are absent? Sometimes you will be absent, you will be sick, and that's just the way that it is. So what do? If you are absent, check the blog. That should always be your number 1 thing. I am very good about updating that once a week with the entire week's schedule. Check the folders in class. It will show you what you missed. It will tell you what you need to make up. If there was a sheet, it will have the sheet attached to it. If it says you need to see me, it will all say that there. If there were notes that were taken, you need to make sure you get those from a classmate. That includes the warm-ups that we do every single day. Even if you're absent, you still got to get those, so get those from one of your peers. And then finally, see me if you still need to. Now, if you come to me first and say, Mrs. Coster, I wasn't here yesterday, what did we do? Did we do anything? First of all, of course we did something. And then second of all, I'm just going to tell you to do those first 3 items, so go ahead and do those first before you come see me. Now, this is our handbook policy. If you have an excused absence, you do have the days that you were absent plus 1 extra day to make up your work. So let's say you were absent 2 days, you would have 3 days to make up your work. If you were absent on the day before a test called a review day, keep in mind you are still going to be required to take the test on the day that it was originally scheduled. I promise I will never be presenting new information the day before a test, so if you are absent that day, just keep that in mind that you're still going to have to take the test on the original day. If you ever need extra help for anything, I am usually available before school. I get to school usually between 7:30 and 7:45, but sometimes I do have meetings on those days, so please make sure you make an appointment with me first. You can always show up, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to be there. If you want to guarantee that I'm going to be there, please make an appointment with me. Now, you'll learn about this later, but there's a time during the day called ASE, Academic Support and Enrichment, and you can sign up for Biology ASE or you can sign up for whatever ASE you need, but just keep in mind that my ASE is called a closed ASE, meaning you can't just show up and come in whenever you want to. You have to have a pass from me first. So if you ever want to come to my ASE, just make sure you come see me the day before or that morning and say, "Hey, Mrs. Coster, I want to come to your ASE today," and I'll write you a pass and you'll show that to your ASE teacher. Okay, I have what's called a flipped classroom. This is what you're doing right now at this very moment. You're watching a video lecture. That's what a flipped classroom is. We've all been in class before where, the teacher was working a problem and it totally made sense and you're writing it all down and you're feeling really confident, but then the second you go home, you have no idea what to do. Well, a flipped classroom is supposed to take that sort of feeling away because you're doing the easy stuff at home now. All I'm asking you to do for homework is to watch a little video and take some notes on it on a paper, on an organizer that I have already made for you. That's easy. That doesn't take any brain power. All of that practice work, all of that hands-on stuff that you used to have to do for homework, now we're going to be doing in class. I will always give you several days to complete a video lecture assignment. So if I assign it on Monday, it will never be due on Tuesday. I might give you a weekend, or I'll give you several school days during the week. You need to have access to the internet in order to be able to watch these video lectures. So if you don't, you need to make sure you take advantage of the Media Center. These are their hours here. They're very good about staying open until those times, so keep that in mind if you don't have access to the internet at home. So what are the benefits of having a flipped classroom? You, the student, get to work at your own pace. If you're a really fast notes taker, you don't have to wait on the people that are slower. If you're a really slow notes taker, you don't feel bad for keeping the entire class waiting on you. You get to pause, you get to replay, you get to rewatch these videos as many times as you needed, which means now you have access to that lecture information that you used to only hear one time in class. You have access to it at your fingertips at home as many times as you want to. And it eventually means that now we have more time for that hands-on review in class, meaning that hopefully you're getting a deeper understanding and we're not spending an entire day just taking notes. What used to take me an entire day in class now takes a 15-minute or less little video. Okay, here are some important links that you'll probably need throughout the semester. You can pause this video and you can write these down, or you can take a picture of it with your phone. These are also on the blog if you need to. So if you ever need to know any of these links, you can pull up this video at any time on the page on my blog that says lecture videos. Okay, last year at the end of the school year, I gave a little end-of-year survey, and I just wanted to share with you a few of those results that I found very interesting. I asked my students, generally speaking, what were your tools for success in this course? And they were able to write in whatever answers that they wanted, but 68% of my students last year included in their answer that the flipped classroom and the video lectures were their major tool for success. 44% of students included reviewing the packets, 28% studying at home, 23% reviewing the warm-ups, 9% checking the blog, 9% Remind 101, and then you could see there were some other answers as well. So if you want to keep looking at this, you can pause the video. I asked them what advice they would give to you guys, the incoming students taking biology with me and possibly also Mr. Spear, and these were some of the answers that they gave. You can pause on this. I'm not going to read them all. You can pause on them and read them. Some of them are pretty funny, but you'll notice that a lot of the answers included, do the video notes. The video notes is the biggest piece of advice that I would give you. Other things included like cheer for the dogs or be nice to Mrs. Coster and Mr. Spear. They will be some of your favorite teachers. Do the work in the packet because it's basically the whole test. Study, study, study. Labs are hard, but take them seriously. So like I said, you can pause this and read over this if you want. They were really interesting to read. Here's another one you can pause on and read over these results, but basically 96% of my students said they loved the flipped classroom. 85% of my students said they used the blog, and then 91% of my students said that they strongly agreed that Remind 101 helped them to remember upcoming assignments and assessments. And then you can also, end on this. Just look over this. What was your favorite activity, lab, or project completed in this class? Obviously, this is not that everything that everyone said, but these were some of the ones that I pulled that I thought might interest you. So just to look forward, what you have to look forward to throughout the year. I hope you enjoyed your first video lecture and getting to know me and getting to know Mr. Spirit. And like I said, if you ever need anything, please feel free to ask me or email me anytime you have a question.